It's the weekend, and it means the Impact players are back. Welcome to the Android BGMS Season 3, powered by Guardians, man, where I'm going to be your host and caster Necro. John alongside with me on the panel, it's going to be none other than Shai Shanu himself. And as I mentioned, it's the Impact players. And now today's focus is pretty much going to be on that, because we know this one single man has the chance to change his entire team's fate.
Don't just remind me of the fact how Hunters pulled off that massive 49-point gamer with Reckoning Esports. Now, these are the kind of situations that I'm also looking forward to see this week itself, because now the stakes are even higher.
Yeah.
There are a lot of teams that have got an opportunity to breach into that top 4, probably take the third and spot away, but you need to have this kind of banger performance.
This is definitely going to push the IGLs to a state where they will feel uncomfortable, but sometimes stepping out to their comfort zone will be the best thing you can do as a human being. Let's move on to the first game of the day, the first game of Saturday. That's the Plant Flat Path starts all the way from Oasis towards down south Minas del Sur. The Plant Flat Path is heavily tilted to the left side. If the teams want to move in towards LSR, Impala, Puerto Paraiso, it will be a tough stretch.
It is going to be a tough one indeed, but I'm looking forward for the drop clashes that might happen in Chumasera between Team Forever and OG. But there's another one that I wanted to look forward to, which normally would be between 8-Bit and Team Tamilas in Los Leones, where we've seen so many times Team Tamilas always try to get the advantage whenever they're up against the members of 8-Bit. But we're seeing quite a lot of those teams taking that early drop, specifically Reckoning jumping in over towards Torre Humada, Godlike as well, going just a bit down south towards Cruz del Valle.
Once again, the drop collision, it comes into fruition. As God's Reen, they are pouncing on top of the players of Team X Park here to claim a 3 points. One of the men gets knocked out, but not confirmed just yet. Team X Park, the boys are holding the crossfire in a really good fashion, but unfortunately it's just Ninja who's got his hands on a weapon. While the rest of the players, they have been eliminated. It's just Shadow 7 with the machete in his hands, and I don't think he can pull off a lot. One single util dumped at the top of this terrace, and it might just wipe out the entire Team X Park. The players are in quite a critical condition. Shadow 7 finally gets his hands on a weapon, but God's Reen with the man advantage. They also get the revival back on the fallen player. Now they're back in full force. X Park going for some pre-fires around the corner, but they can't really catch the players of God's Reen like that. Nicely done. Fury crosses on over. Shadow 7 is way too low. Hands are busy. He gets caught. And within a moment, it's going to be Team X Park wiped outside of the lobby.
Absolutely.
Just look at the weaker teams getting targeted like that.
This is such a big play coming in from the side of God's Reign. And at the same time, I mentioned about the 8-Bit and Team Tamilas collide. And they both collide at the pit stop. And it's going to be another shot being fired by Aditya. Last man standing will be taken down.
As I mentioned, just look at the weaker teams getting targeted. Team Tamilas 2 coming out on top in that duel with a flawless fight. Nicely done. What else do you want? 8 points to rip things off. That's the best possible outcome. Hanzo is not retrievable just yet, but AimGod can play a big spoiler in this fight, considering his position is still anonymous. Utilities being tossed, and eventually a return knockout comes into play. Nicely done by Reaper. All the way from the far fray gets the knockout, and now going for the revive is going to be even more tougher. Raven Esports' AimGod finds another knockout, and AimGod is the Impact player. He gets that finish in the power play itself. A big conversion, 4 points. And now AimGod looking to push him close and personal.
Lovely.
It's going to be Hulk to put that nail in the coffin.
Beautiful play by Raven, and they also claim the bounty on God's Reign.
Not just yet. There's still one more player.
Yes, they still need to find one more. And where is that last player? Venom, he's already made a run for it. I guess he was the player who wanted to try and find a flank angle onto the members of Raven. And now, eventually, he's the only one who will try to escape. But as you mentioned, important frags being found by AimGod himself too.
Just driving around, trying to flush out the players of the opponents. Carpedium pushing up close and personal against Basista Esports. This will be an interesting fight. It's shotgun versus shotgun. And for the player right there in the front, he doesn't exactly know what to do. Wixkey jumps out. Questionable decisions coming through for them, but Basista Esports' secret should have went for that reposition, considering his position was already noticed. He still stayed in that same place, and he got taken down. Gives the advantage to the opponent, instantly capitalizes as well, As now Carpedium, they're the one to swing back to life. They've got the man advantage inside of the fight too, but look at Wixkey, position still unnoticed. Jumps down, gets his hands on the vehicle, and is now looking to back away from this entire spot. And he will do so as well with these, considering there was a smoke trail laid out for him. But unfortunately, even he gets caught from the top. The cover fire isn't so good for Wasista.
They were able to knock down Pukar out there, but it was Fierce, the man himself, who was able to get that confirmation too. So, Wasista Esports losing 2 of their members. Now it's down to Apollo and Shadow. Questionable decisions coming in from their side, as you mentioned, because they had the Molotov in the hand. I still don't know why Wixkey did not decide to use it on the stairs.
But honestly, I'm impressed by Carpedium's bravery.
True.
No one dares to push a team like that through the staircase when you know you will be tunnel visioned on that one single staircase. But still, they made that push happen. Flushed out the opponents without any sort of casualty. But I would also say it was just Wasista Esports making those rookie mistakes.
Yep.
Which they're not supposed to. That was supposed to be an easy fight, an easy push to be stopped. But they messed up hard. Wixkey and Secret down and dusted. Now it's just down to Shadow and Apollo. And these 2 players, I'm not sure what else they can pull off. The blue zone is slowly and steadily being cleared out by the players of Godlike.
Oh my
and now OG's
God.
last man, which is AKOP, slowly and steadily moving into the safer lines. But look at the zone. It shifts right on top of the players of CG, outside of the urban area. And now every single team in the cities will be forced to move outside of their comfort zone, out in the open. And this is where the chaos is going to break loose.
Reckoning, Aiku Soul, and Carnival Gaming have got the best opportunity to capitalize onto the position they are holding. But I feel they can also try and go in for a few scrap points with all the teams who will be fighting against each other. As you mentioned about that, AKOP has also been found, finished, and secured. WSB going up against the members of Team Z. Saeed finding a return knock.
The only way Godlike can actually make it inside of the zone is by wiping out Aiku's Soul. Now that's going to be an iconic fight. One blade, even they're under heavy fire. Another team gets eliminated from this entire game. That's quite a rough patch for that team to recover from. Raven Esports taken out. Another formidable opponent, not in the game anymore. But Reckoning and Team Tamala's bounty still up for grabs. These 2 teams can be a big table turner, either for themselves or for the opponent. One blade with all the 4 players up and alive. Team Z now are the main attraction.
On the other side, though, I wanted to see what's happening between Carpedium as well as Reckoning. Gravity confirms another player. Dinosaurs is already down on his knees.
Oh my God!
And it's Pukar falling down on his knees now.
Reckoning Esports slowly and steadily clenching their fists inside of this fight, as they are probably the one to come out on top. But then no says fears from Carpedium as he wipes out the entirety of Reckoning Esports. And that's also going to be the bounty claimed by Carpedium.
Amazing performance, but right now, Maxi from Team Tamilas wants to join into the action, but has already lost a couple of players from his team, so he has to stop. He's been fired upon from multiple directions, and you were mentioning about Team Z. That's going to be Team Tamilas taken down entirely. We'll have to check if it's Aiku's Soul catching that bounty as well.
I'm pretty sure Team Tamilas, they were being ripped apart from all the different directions.
Yep.
So yeah, the eliminations are equally distributed all across the board. Even Godlike was taking shots against them. But Aiku's Soul now, a bit of a problem for them erupting as Ronnie gets knocked out. One blade, they have stepped inside of the fray too, but this nade from Knuckle can be the table turner. It tosses on quite close, but not close enough to find any sort of knockouts. Nothing critical happening just yet. Knuckle tosses another nade, and that's going to be way too off the mark. It's time to back out and reunite with the teammates, and that's what Knuckle is doing. Even Wasista Esports takes an exit from the game eventually. They did not have a lot of points to close things off. Before CG, they're right next to the players of Aiku's Soul in a really good spot, and they're also controlling the entire tempo of this last zone.
But the only problem about that entire position is, in fact, that all the fights are taking place on the other side of this hill. So they can't be a part of it whatsoever. And they've got absolutely 0 points till now. So unless you flush out the last few finishes in the hands of Hector, I don't see Carnival getting any value out of this chicken dinner, even if they get it.
I think so. He's just trying to do the same thing that Revenue Esports is doing here, man.
They're far behind.
On the last day, they were probably going to try to ace it. Yes, they're far behind, but if they do get this chicken dinner, it's still consistently, slowly and steadily moving up with a snail pace approach. If they do find themselves in the top 8 at the end of the day, that's still good in my opinion. Godlike though, Punk is knocked out. That's quite rough. Getting the revival back is going to be easy. It's not that difficult, but for Godlike, they've already secured a decent amount of finishes underneath their belt. They're looking quite decent. Jonathan is still up and alive, the impact player himself. And now Godlike, traveling on their feet, they're taking too much damage upon themselves.
Ronnie.
Even the backs are against the wall as the wall of death closes on up. Punk is taking too much damage upon himself. Ronnie could have been knocked out in return. Godlike now being held back. And Aiku's Soul, exactly this is what they wanted. Ronnie's still up and alive. He's claiming a few points here and there. Aiku's Soul with 8 finishes on the board so far. Jonathan gets a chance to move inside of the zone, but unfortunately he will be claimed as well.
9 points for the side of Godlike. Fairly decent, you could say. But enough, is it enough to bring them into the breaching point for top 4? Absolutely not. Fierce out here doing so much for his team right now. Finally, this man has awoken. And it seems like what a time to do that. Somme jumps down his power, tries to take a few shots. Man is also close by to Neo.
Oh no, is that a nade? I'm not sure. And Goblin is taking a lot of damage. He gets knocked out and finish. Aiku's Soul, hold on, they still do stand a solid chance to convert this fight in their favor. Another fallen man gets back up on his feet. Ronnie and Knuckle up and alive, the two of the main fragging players for Aiku's Soul, still in the race as the man traverses through the open grounds. Knuckle gets caught, and CG, now this is the advantageous spot. CG cannot lose for him. A 3-man squad alive against a 2-man squad of Carpedium and 1 man of Aiku's Soul.
I still have this one small question. Why is Hector all the way behind every other teammate? He's the impact player. You would have wanted to you would have wanted him to be in these situations to try and get those finishes.
I guess he's the man to be in the back lines and secure the eliminations, the finishing blow, right?
No, he's not
the knocked
doing
out
that.
players.
He's not doing that. Every single finish has been collected by the players who were up front.
Yeah, because the approach for the opponents have been that way. But yeah, I do understand what you're trying to say here. But CG, I don't think so they're letting this rule phase them away from their main gameplay. Their main play style is this way, and they're going to stick to that way. Carpedium now with the last 2 remaining players. I'm not sure what their gameplay is going to be, but Fierce gets caught out in the open. Does not have a lot of room for error anyways. And now Picard's going to be the last remaining player. Even he gets spotted, and he will be taken down. CG, they claimed the chicken dinner in the first game, but still, this game was spread out quite well for a lot of these teams. Some of the teams, they managed to take the advantage of the impact system and also the power play, while some, they relied on chicken dinner, just like CG.
I believe it's Carpedium who basically had a banger of a game. You could also say Aiku's Soul and Godlike with some good amount of points. But yes, the chicken dinner goes in favor of Carnival Gaming.
What a game that was indeed for Aiku's Soul and Godlike, something that they can remember. Last game of the day will be beginning in a few moments, but just have a look at that beautiful trophy. Within a few days, that trophy will be hoisted by someone. But before we move into the last game of the day, Google Play days are live now. Grab the best BGMS offers. Do not miss out on them. The wait is now on the end, as the next game starts on the screen, as it boots up with the plane hitting the skies, starting all the way from Camp Bravo towards Hathin. This plane flight path is heavily tilted to the northern side. Now dropping extremely down south will be a tough stretch, but still it's the map of Sandhawk. But I want to see that aggressive start off the rip.
Oh, you've already mentioned about that, and we are seeing quite a few teams taking that early drop. Mogo moving in towards Paradise Resort. We normally see this team take that drop location there. Bootcamp as well is probably going to be a point of contest where most of these teams are probably going to take that fight. But alright, we've got GE, we've got Aiku's Soul dropping towards and slowly moving in at Camp Alpha. I guess the wait is over finally, Necro. We were waiting to see these teams collide, and that's where we are seeing.
We are going to see that temple fight once again. The fight to stop the opponent and get the prime spot in your hands instantly. Global Esports and Aiku's Soul, this fight was indeed missed, but now we're going to see that fight repeat once again. And it's been a while, and off the rip, you start things off with a slice and dice. It will be Beast to come out on top of that duel, slices the opponent, and dices him to death as Beast gets another knockout, and Beast is getting chased down by the opponent. Another slice coming through. Global Esports isn't looking too fluid in this fight, but how is Beast even alive? That's my question.
Oh.
Does he get the slice? And no is going to be the answer. Beast gets strike down, but Aiku's soul, Manya gets his hand on the shotgun. All it takes is one single blow to the opponent, and he will instantly claim the fight, and that's what happens. But Manya almost could have been taken down in return too. Aiku Soul, they win this drop collision after a long time.
1 HP clutch is this. What a way to play Manya, but the fight is not yet over because on the other side, it's Raven now getting hunted down. They took Dinosaurs, but taking down that one player has basically brought the wrath of Reckoning onto them. Reckoning already taking 2 players from none other than Raven itself. Now that's a big thing. Early points being offered to them, and Hunters and Gravity Jordan are the players who basically got those openings. So 4 additional points. That brings you to a total of 6.
But keep that thing in mind, with Global Esports wiped out, that's going to be the bounty being claimed.
Yes.
And Beast, yesterday he was looking pretty confident in his interview.
This fight is going to be crucial. Pukar up against his former teammates. Raiden trying to jump in as well. This man has not yet found a lot of success, but still wants to jump in. Will finally find the opening, catching Pukar with utility in hand.
Carpedium, they cannot lose out on this fight against Entity. They possess a bounty on top of their head. Molotov tossed on top. Raiden, he will be knocked out. Nicely done by Goblet Boy. He flushes out the player. Carpedium, they've been eliminated from the game. But have Entity claimed the bounty? That's my question. There are smiles on top of the players of Entity faces. And I guess, yes, they have claimed the bounty, as you mentioned.
I just have to get a confirmation over the fact if in case Max was finished off by the members of Entity or not. Because I remember him bleeding out. But was the knock by Entity? That's the only question that I have in mind. But I think so that yes, they did. Because again, looking at their smiles is what also convinced me.
Scout OP using a 3x on AKM with a suppressor onto it? What am I watching? It will be tough to spray down. I mean, he's an experienced player, so let's just hope that he's able to connect the shots because he's also the impact player. But hold on to that thought. Entity, they're a lawnmower as they mow down another team that stood against them.
It's one blade from one side, and then the last man remaining for Entity. Who was that? Somraj, I guess? That was nasty. And this man catches a few more finishes. That means that's additional 2 points for him, as he's the impact player of his team.
Yeah, for Entity, they've already secured so many points in this game that it's more than enough even if they do take an exit from this. And Somraj is still up and alive and cooking. And he's probably going to try to play the placement games now, but he will be denied. No, Anonymous runs out of bullets. In the nick of time, Somraj will be provided another lifeline. He moves back behind that tree, wanting to get the revival.
Whoa.
But instead, he finds another knockout on the opponent. And now he's going to go for that patch. And with this, he also revives his mental back in the game, that he can secure a few more points for his team before getting taken out.
And it's one blade on the other side, a team that has not yet had a good amount of confidence itself. So Kana and Sarkar will be going in for a big wraparound, trying to create a flank angle, but Somraj seems to be aware about that possibility.
Yeah, he just backs away. Fine, you guys can go for that type of play. I'm just going to back away. You guys be happy. But yeah, Reckoning Esports' Hunter delivers a blow to Justin. Justin knocked out and finished. Mogo Esports. Rough patch, down to a 2-man squad. Hunters is one of those players that you can never underestimate, and the opponent was already way too low. Yeah, Mogo Esports says Robin is there in the back lines, providing the cover fire, but what is this disconnect?
This is how normally Robin likes to play and likes to call for his team. He stays way too far back, while he sends all the 3 players over out forward.
Yeah, but that's the problem. It's not providing any sort of value anyways, man. You're losing out on the player. You're not helping him in an up-close and personal combat.
Exactly. That's the big thing, and that's the big problem.
But hey, Goblin moves out in the open, wanting to take the fight against the opponent. But Team Z this time, they will be the one with the striking advantage. And Daksh, he finds the closure.
Beautiful play coming in from Team Z, and the patience pays off. All the players get 1 pick each, but Godlike now finally coming into the action as well. Catching a couple of players already, but now It's going to be the players of one plate who'll be trying to fire upon this team. Godlike have got a pretty solid positioning if you talk about it. They've got the compounds, the hard ones that you're supposed to capture as well to stop anyone trying to move down from that southern hill. While also all the way towards the north is where Punk and Admino were. They were making sure that there's no one coming in from behind them. But Scout out in the open will be confirmed as well. Team Forever is not going to let you pass like that.
Yeah, but Team Z in a big wall of trouble now. With just 4 eliminations wrapped up in this game. They do have a decent bit of cushioning, but just 5 points in total. And now Godlike from the far fray looking to take the advantage of the entire ruckus that's currently being caused in the front. And Jonathan is the impact player. That's why you see him wanting to be a part of this third party. He wants to claim the knocked out players. Godlike slowly and steadily moving up to that fight. And it makes a lot of sense too, right? Try and take the advantage. Try and be the one to third party. One blade in a big wall of trouble.
Oh.
But Gana slaps down 2 players. Tables being flipped against Godlike. That's the last 2 remaining players. They're still in the compound. Jonathan gets spotted too around the corner. And Sarkar, he delivers that finishing blow to one of the players.
No way one blade closes this out. There's absolutely no way. Shots still being fired. Finally, Sarkar will fall down to Somraj. The man from Entity wants to get that confirmation on the flush as well. Catches one, will finally fall.
Oh no!
To the safe zone. But look at the amount of damage this guy has done.
It was Mafia from the back to deliver that last man a nade. As the last man explodes to his death, Godlike, they've only got last 2 remaining players. And I'm not sure what else can be done. Jonathan closes on up with that push. It's a vehicle, up close and personal. Mafia is cooking up a nade, and if this nade lands to perfection, Jonathan will be blown out. A little bit of an overshoot, overcook. Jonathan miscalculated another nade. And Jonathan is constantly taking that damage upon himself. This nade is an overshoot too, but this time Ninju finds a perfect connection. Godlike, they will be eliminated from the game. And Team Forever, what a beautiful game that was. Nice way to secure that chicken dinner.
Beautiful performance coming in from Team Forever. Catching to almost all the other players. Entering from the southwestern part. And then claiming that entire position. The circle shifted onto them as well, pushing Godlike towards an awkward angle. And if this team was able to get that chicken, maybe this could have been a great game for Godlike. But another team that did insane was Team Aiku's Soul.
Aiku's Soul indeed claiming the bounty, getting 17 points at the top as well. This could not have been any better for Aiku's Soul. That's a lot of points accumulated. I mean, looking at the overall standings, the top 4 is pretty clear. As you mentioned, Team Tamil has been kicked out, but it's not just a small kick, it's a big kick, all the way down to the 6th spot. Raven Esports, they move up to the 5th. This is a big sign of worry. Look at Vasista Esports, not that far behind in the points table. Even OG is right there. Raven Esports on the 9th spot. You've got Team Forever on the 10th. Team Forever is on that uphill climb. For Raven Esports tomorrow, at least one single game has to be a nuclear performance. The latter half of the board is going to look even interesting. Aiku's Soul have activated themselves to have that potential to move into the top 4.
Yes, absolutely. And they are also at 185 points.
God,
there are
4
3 teams for 185, 1 team at 186. This is absolutely bonkers. These teams can go bonkers again tomorrow itself to try and pull themselves up.